Hey, I wonder how much it would cost to live a week in Hawaii.
Well, I'm so glad you asked.
Today you're going to find out how much I spend in a week as an engineer living in Hawaii. I'm going to break down all of my expenses for each day of the week, and I'll include all of my monthly expenses as well, like my mortgage, my insurance, everything, so you'll be able to get a very detailed view of what it takes to live in this beautiful state. Comment below how much you think it's going to cost for my week in Hawaii, and don't forget to subscribe so you can join our growing family here on YouTube. Thank you to Shaka by Central Pacific Bank for sponsoring this video, but more on that later. And now let's get to Sunday. So we're going to start our week off on Sunday in the greatest way possible. Going to the golf course. So I do have a country club membership and there's a monthly due fee that's associated with that, but I'm going to talk more about that specific part of the fee later. But even though I do pay that monthly fee, if I want to ride the cart when I play, I still have to pay a fee for that. So because I did take the cart, it cost me $18.32. But what really makes golf fun is that you can't just play without any sort of monetary incentive or consequence. But that specific day wasn't a great day for me, so I lost $40 playing that day. There's a whole slew of games that we play as a group, but that $40 actually covers my lunch for the day. So here's a thing of my lasagna. I forgot. I got too excited and I started eating it early. I'm not used to this whole influencer thing. Then I made my way to a company function that we had at Dave & Buster's, and luckily that was free, so I gathered some food and things from that. Then I went on my way to go visit some family, so I went to Liliha Bakery to pick up some pastries and dinner for my grandma. So for their world famous Cocoa Puffs and her shrimp plate, that cost $45.39, which is not a normal cost that I have every week, but just something that happened that day. And since my parents were out of town, I went to go watch and feed their dog Mele. So here are some clips of us having some good old-fashioned free fun together. And then I went back home, went on a little walk, and had some breakfast for dinner, which to me is one of the greatest experiences you can have as an adult. But that was technically leftovers from the day before. I didn't feel that it was fair to say that it was free, so I came up with some numbers and landed at $4 for that. So in total for Sunday, I spent $107.71. So happy Monday, everyone. So actually, Central Pacific Bank just sent me one of their Shaka cards. My plan is to use this on basically all of my food for the rest of the week. So my thought is, I'm pretty sure $150 is going to cover all the food for the rest of the week. It should. I'll have a counter somewhere up here. So these Shaka debit cards, especially for somebody that isn't really used to using cards, or this is your first card that you're trying to use, having a debit account with Central Pacific Bank is actually going to be really good for you, at least to establish the correct habits. You never want to be spending more than what you have in your account, even though that's what the credit card companies allow you to do. Opening up your Shaka checking account, really good way to get a head start on building some good financial habits. So we'll see how much we spend on this card for the week. But anyway, I started my day out going to work, and then I actually needed to go back home because I needed to service my sink because my faucet wasn't working. So after that was done, the only logical conclusion was that I would end up at Jack in the Box for some breakfast. So I whipped out my Shaka card for the breakfast platter, and that cost me $6.69. And then I realized I needed to go to the grocery store to make some food for the week, because going out and buying food every day is not the greatest financial decision to make. So I went over to Don Quixote to gather some ingredients for a popular local dish. Comment below if you can guess what I'm making before I tell you what it is. So I went and grabbed some potatoes, carrots, celery, onion, stewed tomatoes, hint, 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 big hint, tomato paste, beef broth, beef, and all of those lovely things together shaka'd out to $27.01. And to go along with my mystery dish, I went over to Zippy's, which is a local kind of fast food restaurant, and I grabbed some macaroni salad, and that was $11.62. So I went on home with all of my things, and then I realized I had made a critical error. Forgot my chicken broth. So I had to go over and get bougie at Whole Foods and buy their chicken broth for $2.61. So after chopping everything up, throwing it in the Instant Pot, beef stew with macaroni salad was created. And hopefully this should last me a few days for the week. So now we'll go on to Tuesday, headed off to work, and I remembered my breakfast that morning, so I ripped open a bag of oatmeal and went to town. But for that packet of oatmeal, it's about 60 cents. Had my beef stew for lunch from the night before, so that was included in that whole grocery cost. And after work, I headed over to the golf course to help hone the game a little bit. Went back home, had beef stew again for dinner. So we spent $0 on my Shaka card for that day, 60 cents I guess from oatmeal that I previously had. So the total for the week is sitting at $156.24. And now we're heading over to Wednesday, and actually I was running late that day and I forgot my breakfast and my lunch. And we actually had a concrete pour that day, so a lot of times if you're in this industry, if you have a pour, a lot of times you don't really eat until that's done. But here we are pouring some stairs, and then after that was done, I found a Nature Valley bar in my bag and I just ate one of those, and we'll say that was around $1. So because I forgot my lunch that day, I had to go to the sandwich shop down the street called Sprout. So I got one of their like turkey club sandwiches, which was pretty good but kind of expensive at $13.58. And luckily we had chips around the office for free because I have a very hard time just eating sandwiches with no chips. And then guess where I went when I finished work? That's right, to the golf course. After I finished up there, I went back home, had my beef stew that I had made the days before, so didn't spend any more money there for dinner. So now we head into Thursday. Starting out my day again, going to work, and honestly this is one of my internal issues, I guess. I was getting a little tired of beef stew. As much as I would love to just eat the exact same thing every day, sometimes I just get a little tired. So anyway, that day for lunch I grabbed a Koa Pancake House. So I pulled out my Shaka card and that cost me $13.56. And then after work, guess where I went? No, I didn't play golf. I had restraint that day. But I went to go play pickleball. And so is pickleball becoming a thing like around the world? I would like to know because it's becoming a thing here amongst, you know, my age group of people. It'd be wild if it's just like a global, it's not a global pandemic, but it's just a global something, you know, like around. So went out to the courts in Waimanalo, had some fun there. A little bit more cardio than playing golf. It was really late, so we just grabbed dinner on that side and went to good old Panda Express. That cost me $11.10. So for the week, our total is sitting at $195.48, and we're kind of creeping up there with the Shaka card at $86.17. And now we finish out the work week, Aloha Friday. So I wasn't really about the beef stew life, so I, you know, went down and got a little chubby at Chubby's Burgers. But anyway, I just got the regular burgers and fries. Used that Shaka card for $12.93. So after work, went to Foodland to grab some poke, which is basically ahi tuna, but it's raw and has like seasoning, sauces, things like that on it. But for a pound total of these two pokes, it came out to $23.93. So I took my poke bowl over to the Hilton Hawaiian Village, and if you didn't know, every Friday night they actually have fireworks there. So I got to sit down, eat, watch the fireworks. It's a pretty cool way to spend your Friday evening in Hawaii. So then we wanted to go get dessert, so we decided to walk through Waikiki and get a cheesecake from Cheesecake Factory. But Keenan, you live in Hawaii, why are you going to the Cheesecake Factory? First of all, love the Cheesecake Factory. And second, I actually have a $10 credit that I can use every month at the Cheesecake Factory, which at one point would get me a free cheesecake at the Cheesecake Factory. But they increased the prices, so I had to actually pay $1.62 for my cheesecake. Inflation. That's how we know it's real. And now we head into our final day of the week, Saturday. So I started my day heading over to Pearl Country Club, which is a different golf course, and that round actually cost me $62.82. And then I decided to actually replace my refrigerator filter, and that didn't really go so well and water spilled all over the place, but at least that was a free experience. So I dried that out and I actually had to go over to Kaneohe for one of my coworkers' son's birthdays. And I bought him this, and I don't know if you knew this, for anybody that is not into babies like that's not what I should say. But for anyone that is not familiar with like babies and what it takes to like have one, there's this thing called a diaper genie that like seals off, I guess, the smell of, and the bag, apparently the refill, or each bag holds like hundreds of diapers or something like that. I gave them the original bag, so I got them more replacement bags. But anyway, it cost me $38.72. And anytime that I go out to that side of the island, I try to actually make kind of a day of it because it's kind of far. So I headed over to Waihole Poi Factory, which serves Hawaiian food. So I got a Kalua pig plate and one of their desserts, which is kulolo, which is kind of like a taro mochi-ish type dessert, with haupia ice cream, which is coconut ice cream. But that cost me $20.42. And at that point, I knew I was very close to my Shaka limit. But then I also don't have a lot of restraint when it comes to people cooking food on the side of the street. I'm a sucker for smells, and I had to pull over, and I also thought, why don't I need to show the people what huli huli chicken is. So here it is, but this is what sent me over my $150 limit for my Shaka card. Huli is turn, so turning chicken, so you see the turning chickens. I got one of those plates to go home to have for dinner. And then on my way home, and we'll do this again, here's Hawaii's current gas price. You let me know in the comments what yours is. But in any event, $5.29 a gallon. And I typically like to have my gas tank go all the way down till it's almost empty. So that cost me $54.62 for my full tank. So my grand total for the weekend expenditures is $426.69. Nope, that's not right. $426.19. But wait! there's more. So you can't just say my food expenses or miscellaneous expenses. We have to talk about all my expenses as a whole broken down into a week, because then it's not real. So I'm gonna break down my recurring monthly expenses and bring it into weeks. But before we get to those monthly expenses, let's talk about our sponsor of today's video, Shaka by Central Pacific Bank. So I actually use Central Pacific Bank for my mortgage, and opening up a Shaka checking account with them was an awesome experience as well. And there are no monthly fees to open and to maintain your checking account. There are also unique features with the Shaka checking account, such as getting your paycheck up to 2 days early. But my favorite is to be able to use any ATM that you want and be able to get those ATM fees reimbursed up to $20 per month, which is pretty cool and super convenient. So if you're interested in opening up a Shaka checking account, see the website on the screen or in the link in the description below. And if you want to talk to a bank representative in person before you do this, I would highly suggest that you visit their newly renovated downtown branch, which also has a really cool Tide Pools co-working space, so it's a really cool space to check out if you can. So thank you again to Shaka for sponsoring this video, and now let's finish up with those monthly expenses. And keep in mind, when I'm doing my weekly calculations, I basically total it over the year and divide by 52 weeks, so I'm not, because not every month has just 4 weeks, or it's kind of a decimal. Anyway, that's how I did it. So for my monthly expenses, let's first start with my mortgage, my biggest expense. So I do own the place that I currently live in. I'll show you some shots of this area to kind of show you what this place kind of looks like, to give you kind of a feel of what I'm getting for my money or not getting for my money. So I'm lumping my mortgage and my maintenance fee into this calculation. So my monthly expense for this is $3,000. So if you didn't know, your mortgage payment is actually split into 2 different entities. It's your actual principal pay down and your interest, fees, and your taxes, etc. So for me, out of that $3,000, $1,000 of that actually goes back to the principal on the property. So to me, that's kind of like a forced savings account. And it's basically me putting $1,000 a month back as like a little piggy bank that's just stored into the value of the home. So we'll take that out, and I'm actually spending about $462 a week to live in this place. My electricity bill every month is roughly around $120, so that's about $28 per week. My internet is actually included with my unit, so my cable bill is actually $87 per month. Should probably cancel this because now football season is kind of coming to an end, and I have a bunch of the streaming services, which you'll see later. But in any event, it's about $20 per week. So various subscriptions I have: Amazon Prime, Spotify, things like that. It's about $40 a month, so $9 a week. So I'm actually very into credit cards. I actually have 14 of them. So I have a bunch of annual fees. I could do a separate video if you cared about it later. But basically, the credits and the value that I get out of every single card is more than the annual fee, so my actual expected value is more than that. For the intents of this video, I'm just gonna take the regular number and not say that I'm not paying anything for it, because I am. But per year I pay $2,284 in credit card annual fees. Again, I get more than $2,000 worth of value from all those cards, but we'll say $44 per week spent for my credit cards. And again, never hold a balance on any of your credit cards. And now we tackle that very healthy addiction of the golf club membership. So I pay $338.50 per month for my membership, and that leads to about $78 per week that I pay. So not only because I do love the game of golf, but really a big portion of it is about the people that I get to meet and the connections I get to make by being a part of the club. This specific club too has a lot of local ties, especially in the construction industry. Already to this day, it's been very, very valuable. So it's not just the golf, it's definitely the connections as well. Now we'll talk car insurance and registration. So for car insurance and registration, that's about $22 per week. And my phone bill is around $15 per week. So the grand total for me to live this one specific week in Hawaii is $1,102.19. So let me know your thoughts below. Is that way too high? Is that lower than you expected? And yeah, if you have any comments or any tips for me on how I can save more money or how I'm screwing things up, please let me know. And if you enjoyed that video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe and hit the notification bell below so you can join our growing family here on YouTube. And a big thank you again to Shaka by Central Pacific Bank for sponsoring this video. I appreciate everyone's time. I'll see you on the next video.